I'm going to be candid about this. I don't at all regret the residency that I did, for a couple reasons. The first and foremost best reason is that my mentor and the director of the program was very much so influenced by biopsychosocial and pain science concepts. So through everything biomedical I was learning to take the OCS, that stuff was sort of sprinkled in for me. And I feel like that's a little bit of a unicorn of a situation, because at least at the time that I did the residencies, in 2014 now, going on 5 years, that was not really, especially when I first got out of school, that was not something that we had in school or that really was commonly discussed or even considered outside of school. So for that reason, and the people that I worked with and the mentorship that I got and all that I learned, even manual skills got better. But I wouldn't say that any of that got me the job that I have, or had really much to do with pay. Some places will up you, just like teachers get a master's and they get an increase in some pay, but it's not anything astronomical. And I am not saying this to downplay residencies, because for some people it's the right thing, and it helps especially new grads with confidence in some areas. And if you have a really, really good mentor, absolutely go for it. I just also, in the same breath, don't want students and new grads to feel as though it's something that they have to do to set themselves apart, because you set yourself apart. And that's not going to be done just by completing a year-long residency at a prestigious place or whatever. And it's definitely, like I said, I would not credit any residency for getting you your ideal job. I feel like that a lot of times comes from networking and really knowing your why and seeking out a place that is going to help you fulfill your why, get better all the time. Essentially, I picked where I'm at now because there wasn't, in my eyes, any ceiling for growth, both for myself and for the company. So I'm not sure if all of that makes sense, but not downplaying them. I would say do your research, do your homework, know your why before going in, and you're going to get out what you put into it. And also know that it doesn't necessarily guarantee you a really happy your home or end goal job, and also doesn't necessarily guarantee you a different pay scale.
No, I think that's extremely helpful. It's helpful for me, even if pay is your number one priority, it's probably not the reason to go into a residency in general. And obviously, I don't think that was posed in the question. It's a valid,
right.
It's a valid thought and concern. But to me, it was always about the benefit of a residency was about the mentoring, like you said, and the deliberate practice, the deliberate clinical practice that you get, and the feedback on that, like the rigorous feedback. Sometimes probably an uncomfortable, more rigorous than PT school, like you're constantly being evaluated. But I mean, that's a way to really, really build your skills and your confidence as a clinician. So I always thought that was what I wanted to go into a residency for. Our staff, the professors at my physical therapy school, most of them actually encouraged us not to go into residency right away. Their thought was wait 2-3 years, get some clinical experience, then you will have more of a mental representation of practice, and then you can go into a residency and you'll have kind of be more well-rounded, be able to take the feedback a little bit better, have, not be so overwhelmed with the rigor. The rebuttal to that was always, once you're not a student anymore, it's real hard to go back and then be a student again, and then to potentially take a pay cut with the residency and time too. Steph, what are your thoughts on somebody doing a residency right out of PT school, like just get it done, versus waiting 2 or 3 years? Do you have any preference on that?
Well, I do want to double check. Can you guys hear me okay? Because my headphones died. Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I think that looking back on it now, I think there's definitely merit to working a year or two. we talk about it sometimes at work and call it sort of getting reps in. And before honing in on certain areas of interest, skills, philosophy, whatever, literally just learning how to be a human with people. Complex cases, get some of those, like, be in a high volume area, be in whatever, seek out some of your own mentors first, because that's 100% an option, and you might end up coming up with a situation where you do want to hold off for another year or two because you have basically an informal mentorship set up with either someone you work with or someone you've reached out to. So I definitely, like I said, my situation was a little bit different than most, I think, but I also do think that even with that situation and the amazing mentor that I had, that I probably would have gotten a little more out of it on some other levels besides some of the actual skills and clinical and instead of just the skills, more so on clinical reasoning, and more so on some of the humaning stuff that if I had waited a year or two. So that would be my advice now. But like I said, if you've already been doing your homework, you know the place, you know who your mentor is going to be, it doesn't necessarily make it that that's the answer for everyone. But I would still argue that for most, there's some merit in getting some time under your belt with patients beforehand.